My friend, have you ever noticed that when you're in position, everything flows? But the moment you step out of position, life feels like a constant struggle. Doors that were once open seem to close. Opportunities that were once easy to catch now slip through your fingers. That's why this prayer, "Oh Adi, keep me in position so I don't have to beg, borrow, or struggle," is not just words. It's a cry of alignment. It's a request for divine order in your life. Because the truth is this: you were not designed to live a life of begging. You were designed to live a life of purpose, authority, and provision. When you understand that position determines provision, your entire perspective on life begins to shift. Think about it: a tree doesn't move around looking for water. It simply stays rooted in the ground where it was planted. And because it is in the right position, the rain comes to it, the sunlight finds it, and the soil feeds it. If that same tree were to uproot itself and walk into the desert, no matter how strong or beautiful it once was, it would wither. Not because it isn't capable of growth, but because it left the place where provision was designed to meet it. Many people are praying for success, praying for opportunities, praying for doors to open, but the truth is, provision is often not the problem. It is position. If you are in the wrong environment, if you are surrounded by the wrong people, if you are holding on to the wrong job or chasing the wrong dream, you can struggle endlessly. It's like a fish out of water. The fish doesn't need to pray for oxygen in the water. It already has what it needs. But the moment it is taken out of position, it struggles for breath. Some of you are struggling today, not because you lack potential, not because you lack ability, but because you are simply not where you're supposed to be. Imagine a businessman who insists on selling winter coats in the heat of summer. He can work hard, shout louder than everyone else, and invest all his savings, but he will still struggle. Why? He is out of position. His product is not the problem, his environment is. But if he moves those same coats to a snowy city, suddenly his provision flows without force. That's how life works. When you're in the right place, provision is natural. You don't force fruit out of a tree. It comes because the tree is in the right position. There are people right now who are begging, who are borrowing, who are struggling, not because they are failures, but because they are standing in the wrong lane of life. They are good at something, but not positioned where that gift can shine. You may have seen an eagle trying to walk like a chicken. It looks awkward, it looks clumsy, it looks weak, not because it has no strength, but because it is out of position. But let that same eagle stretch its wings in the sky. Suddenly it dominates, suddenly it looks majestic, suddenly it soars. That's the power of position. Provision is always tied to position. When you're in the right place, with the right people, at the right time, doors open without you forcing them. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to live with ease? It's not that their lives are perfect, it's that they found their position. They don't wake up chasing money, money chases them. They don't beg for attention, influence finds them. They don't struggle for recognition, opportunities seek them out. The difference between a life of stress and a life of flow is often position. If you are tired of begging, tired of borrowing, tired of struggling, then you must make this your daily cry: keep me in position. Because when you are in position, the right people enter your life. When you are in position, the right opportunities find you. When you are in position, the resources that belong to you will flow without stress. You don't have to manipulate, you don't have to force, you don't have to break your back trying to prove yourself things. Begin to align because you are standing where you were designed to stand. Think about a lamp. The lamp is not useful if it's lying in a drawer. Its light doesn't shine, its power isn't seen. But when you place it in position on a stand, it lights up the entire room. The lamp didn't change, but its position did. That is exactly how your life works. You don't need to change everything about yourself. You don't need to chase everything you see others doing. What you need is to be placed where your gift, your talent, your uniqueness can shine. And this is why this prayer is so powerful. Lord, keep me in position. Because sometimes you can find your position, but the distractions of life pull you out of it. Sometimes you know where you should be, but impatience pushes you into a place that was never meant for you. And when you leave your place of provision, you start to beg. When you walk away from your true assignment, you start to borrow. When you abandon your rightful position, you start to struggle. That is why alignment matters. That is why staying rooted matters. Just like a tree must remain planted, you must remain in the place where your resources are designed to meet you. Your environment will always feed your destiny. If you are in the wrong environment, your destiny will suffocate. If you are in the right one, your destiny will flourish. Position is the invisible magnet that attracts provision. It's not about how loud you shout, how hard you fight, or how desperate you beg. It's about where you stand. If you stand where you are meant to stand, life begins to work in your favor. The prayer, Lord, keep me in position, is really a cry for discipline, for clarity, and for alignment. Because in the right position, you won't have to beg, you won't have to borrow, and you won't have to struggle. Struggle in life is not always a sign of weakness, laziness, or lack of potential. More often than not, struggle is the evidence of misalignment. When something is out of place, No matter how strong or powerful it may be, it cannot function at its highest level. Think about a car for a moment. The car may have a powerful engine, brand new tires, a full tank of fuel, but if the wheels are misaligned, what happens? The car drags to one side, the tires wear out faster, the driver has to fight with the steering wheel just to stay on the road. It takes more energy, more stress, more pressure, and yet the car never performs smoothly. The issue is not the car itself, it's the alignment. This is how many people live their lives. They are gifted, they are intelligent, they are hardworking, but they are struggling. They are not struggling because they are broken. Yeah. They are struggling because they are misaligned. They are connected to the wrong people. They are chasing the wrong opportunities. They are investing their energy in the wrong direction. And so every step feels like a battle. Every day feels like a grind. Nothing seems to come easy, and life feels like constant resistance. Imagine a fish trying to climb a tree. No matter how hard it tries, it will look like a failure. The problem is not the fish. The problem is position. The fish was never designed to climb trees. It was designed to swim in water. In the water, the fish doesn't struggle. It glides, it flows, it thrives. But out of position, that same fish looks weak, looks useless, looks defeated. That's what misalignment does to people. It takes your gift and makes it look like a burden. It takes your potential and makes it look like failure. Some of you are struggling in careers that were never yours. You are fighting to hold on to jobs that suffocate your gift. You are pushing in relationships that drain your energy instead of fueling your growth. You are trying to impress people who were never assigned to your destiny. And the more you try, the more you struggle. That's because struggle is evidence of misalignment. Have you ever tried forcing a key into the wrong lock? You twist and twist, you push harder, you even try jiggling it, but no matter what you do, the door does not open. The key is not defective, it's just not in the right lock. Yet how many of us live life like that, pushing harder in the wrong place, twisting ourselves into shapes we were never meant to fit, exhausting our energy on doors that were never designed for us. Then we wonder why life feels heavy, why nothing works, why success always feels out of reach. The truth is, you may not need to change the key. You may simply need to find the right lock. When you are aligned, things flow. This does not mean life is without challenges, but it means the challenges don't break you, they shape you. When you are aligned, doors open with less resistance. Opportunities find you faster. People recognize your value easier. You don't have to scream for attention, your presence speaks. But when you are misaligned, even simple things feel impossible. You overwork, you overthink, you overextend, and yet the results never match the effort. Think of an athlete running a race. If they run in their lane, they can focus, they can keep their speed, they can win. But if they drift out of their lane, they risk disqualification. They may be the fastest runner on the track, but if they are out of position, they lose. Life is the same way. You can have speed, you can have strength, you can have skill, but if you are not aligned with your purpose, your effort will not produce fulfillment. Many people confuse business with progress. Just because you are moving does not mean you are advancing. A rocking chair moves back and forth all day long, but goes nowhere. Struggle often feels like endless motion without direction. That's the frustration of misalignment. Lots of energy, very little progress. You feel like you're working harder than everyone else, but you have less to show for it. You feel like you're always climbing, but never reaching. That is the proof that alignment is missing. Look at the story of electricity. If the wires are not aligned correctly, the current cannot flow. You can have all the power in the world running through the system, but if the wires are crossed or disconnected, the lights won't turn on. The issue is not the power source, it's the alignment of the connection. And some of you are sitting in the dark, not because you lack power, but because your wires are not connected properly. You need alignment. When life feels like a struggle, you must ask yourself, am I misaligned? Am I in the wrong place? Am I connected to the wrong people? Am I fighting for doors that were never meant for me? Because struggle is not always a sign you need to work harder. It's a sign you may need to reposition. And when you find your true alignment, the struggle begins to fade, the weight begins to lift, and life starts to move with rhythm and flow. Begging and borrowing are not just actions, they are postures of life that pull you beneath your true nature. Deep inside you, there is a voice that knows you were not created to live off scraps or depend on handouts to survive. You were designed with dignity, with creativity, with authority, and with the ability to produce. When you beg, you silence that voice. When you borrow endlessly, you shrink that authority. It's like a lion acting like a stray cat. It doesn't change the lion's DNA, but it hides its power and reduces its identity. Think about this: a river does not beg the ocean for water, it flows into it naturally. A seed does not borrow from another seed to grow. It simply stays in the soil and produces after its kind. That is how you were designed, built with the capacity to create, to multiply, and to generate. But when you settle into a lifestyle of begging or constant borrowing, you are stepping away from that design and lowering yourself to a place you were never meant to occupy. There is nothing more uncomfortable than watching someone with incredible potential live as though they are powerless. Have you ever seen a person with talent beyond measure, yet always asking others to open doors for them, always dependent on others for survival? It breaks something inside because you know they have it in them, but they've forgotten their own ability. That is what begging does. It blinds you to your own resourcefulness. Borrowing is another trap. Borrowing keeps you in cycles of dependency. It is like living in a house that doesn't belong to you. No matter how comfortable it feels for a while, you are never truly free. You always owe. You always carry weight. You always live under the shadow of another person's control. And after a while, borrowing doesn't just take your money, it takes your confidence. It takes your voice. It takes your freedom. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a man who goes to his neighbor every morning to ask for food. At first, the neighbor may give gladly. The second time, they may still give. But by the 10th time, the man no longer walks with his head up. He walks with his head bowed. He avoids eye contact. He feels shame. Why? Because begging strips dignity. And dignity is one of the greatest treasures you can carry in life. Once dignity is gone, even the smallest blessing feels heavy. But the truth is, you are not built for that kind of life. Inside you is the ability to think, to solve, to create, to innovate. Begging bypasses that ability. Borrowing weakens it. Instead of searching for solutions, you start searching for someone to rescue you. And once you get comfortable in that cycle, you stop believing in your own power. That's why this prayer matters so much. Lord, keep me in position so I don't have to beg, borrow, or struggle. Because position is what protects your dignity. When you are in position, opportunities find you. When you are in position, provision flows to you. You don't have to beg because your gift makes room for you. You don't have to borrow because wisdom helps you multiply what you already have. You don't have to struggle because alignment keeps you connected to the right resources. Think of a tree again. The tree never begs the sky for rain. It never borrows from another tree for fruit. It stays rooted, and in season, everything it needs comes. That is your nature too, rooted, productive, flourishing. Look at children for a moment. A child in a healthy home doesn't wake up every morning begging the parent for food. They sit at the table because they know provision has been prepared. They walk with confidence, not because they are rich, but because they trust the environment they are in. That is how you were designed to live, secure in who you are, confident in your source, and walking with the dignity of one who does not need to lower themselves to survive. Begging and borrowing keep you small. They whisper lies to you that you are not enough, that you cannot make it, that you will always depend on others. But hear this, you are not small, you are not weak, you are not designed to trail behind. You carry inside you the very ability to create solutions that the world has never seen. You carry the gift to rise above circumstances. You carry the dignity to stand tall without stretching your hands out for survival. Life will sometimes put you in places where you are tempted to settle for less than your design. You may feel like asking for help is easier than working your gift. You may feel like borrowing is faster than building, but shortcuts always cost more in the end. Every time you beg, you give away a piece of your power. Every time you borrow without strategy, you hand someone else the keys to your freedom. But when you choose to stand in your true identity, when you decide to use your creativity, your discipline, your resilience, suddenly you don't have to beg, you don't have to borrow. You rise into the place where you belong. And when people see you, they don't see desperation. They see dignity. They don't see struggle. They see strength. They don't see weakness. They see wisdom. That is your true nature. That is who you were always meant to be. Dignity is one of the most powerful treasures you can carry through life. It is invisible, yet it is felt everywhere you go. It is not measured in the size of your bank account, nor in the titles people place on your name, but in the way you carry yourself, the way you stand, the way you live. Dignity is what allows you to look people in the eye without shame. It is what makes you walk into a room without bowing your head, without shrinking back, without pretending to be less than who you are. And nothing steals dignity faster than being out of position. When you are in the right position, life gives you confidence. You walk with a certain boldness because you know you are not surviving on handouts. You are standing in your rightful place. You don't have to beg people to notice you. You don't have to chase approval to feel validated. You don't have to pretend to be something you're not just to be accepted. Position gives you a sense of worth that no paycheck, no applause, no validation can replace. But the moment you step out of position, life begins to chip away at that dignity. You find yourself stretching your hand where you should be giving. You find yourself chasing what should have been chasing you. And little by little, your dignity starts to fade. Think about someone who constantly borrows. At first, it feels easy, maybe even harmless. But the more they borrow, the less they stand tall. Suddenly, they avoid the person they owe. Suddenly, they feel small when they enter a room. Their voice changes, their confidence diminishes, and their sense of worth is compromised. It's not that borrowing makes them bad. It's that the cycle of dependency steals dignity. Every time they extend their hand, they give away a little bit of the pride and self-respect they were meant to carry. Now think of the opposite. Think of the individual who is in position, the one who has aligned themselves with their gift, their calling, their purpose. That person may not have all the riches in the world, but they have dignity. They walk with assurance. They don't feel small in front of anyone, no matter their status. Why? Because they know they are standing where they belong. They know they are contributing, producing, and creating value. That dignity is priceless. A vivid example can be seen in the workplace. Have you ever noticed two employees in the same company? One who is constantly scrambling, trying to impress, always worried about losing their job, and another who moves with calm authority, respected without saying much. The difference is not always skill. Sometimes it is position. The one in position knows they are adding value. They know they are where they are supposed to be, so they walk with dignity. The one out of position constantly fears being replaced, so they move in desperation. Desperation strips dignity. Alignment restores it. Think also about relationships. A person who is aligned with their true worth never begs for love, never pleads for attention, never lowers their standards just to keep someone around. But a person who is out of position will compromise everything, values, boundaries, identity, just to feel accepted. That's when dignity is lost. You are not designed to beg for what should flow naturally when you are in position. Respect flows when you are in position. Honor comes when you are in position. Love meets you when you are in position. Dignity is like clothing for the soul. When you have it, you feel covered, protected, confident. When you lose it, you feel exposed, vulnerable, ashamed. Position is what keeps that clothing intact. You may not have the most expensive clothes in your closet, but when you walk in dignity, people will see you as wealthy. You may not have the biggest title, but when you carry dignity, people treat you with respect. You may not have the loudest voice, but when you stand in dignity, your words carry weight. Have you ever seen a person who works hard, who hustles every day, but still struggles to survive? They are exhausted, worn out, and when they speak, their voice is heavy with frustration. Contrast that with someone who has found their rightful position. They may work just as hard, but their effort produces results. Their labor carries fulfillment, and their face shines with confidence. That is the power of dignity protected by position. One lives under strain, the other walks in strength. When you pray to be kept in position, you are not just asking for money or opportunities, you are asking to be preserved in dignity. You are asking to be shielded from the kind of life that makes you beg. You are asking to be guarded from the cycles that force you into dependency. You are asking to be sustained in the place where your head can remain lifted high, where your eyes can look forward without shame, where your voice can speak without trembling. Because dignity is life. Without it, even wealth feels empty. Without even success feels shallow. But with it, even in simple living, you are rich. And so dignity is not a luxury, it is your birthright. You were created to stand, not crawl. You were created to give, not constantly take. You were created to be a solution, not a burden. Every day that you live in position, you reinforce that dignity. Every time you refuse to bow to begging, every time you choose to rise instead of borrow, every time you stay aligned with your true calling, you protect that dignity. And when people see you, they don't just see a person, they see strength, they see honor, they see someone who cannot be reduced no matter the circumstances. My friend, life is not meant to be lived on your knees in front of men. It is meant to be lived on your feet in front of destiny. You were not designed to survive on crumbs that fall from someone else's table. You were designed to prepare your own table and invite others to feast from the abundance that flows out of your life. This is why the greatest prayer you can whisper each morning is simple but powerful. Lord, keep me in position. Because in position, you are strong. In position, you are bold. In position, you are untouchable. When you are in position, you don't have to beg because what belongs to you recognizes you. You don't have to borrow because wisdom teaches you how to multiply what you already have. You don't have to struggle because favor becomes your daily companion. Remember this, the eagle does not negotiate with the wind. It simply spreads its wings and rides it. When you are in position, you are like that eagle. No matter the storm, you rise higher, you go further, you see clearer. There will always be distractions pulling you out of place. There will always be temptations to compromise your standards. There will always be voices trying to convince you that begging is easier, that borrowing is safer, that struggling is normal. But the truth is, you were never called to live normal. Normal people settle for leftovers. Normal people bow their heads in shame. Normal people spend their lives chasing approval. But you, yes, you were designed for greatness. You were built for impact. You were created to stand so tall that others around you remember what dignity looks like. Every time you refuse to compromise your position, you're declaring, I am more than my circumstances. Every time you choose alignment over convenience, you're saying, I know who I am. Every time you lift your head high and decide not to beg, not to borrow, not to struggle, you're proving that there is a power greater than pressure, keeping you steady. Do not measure your life by the noise of others. People may laugh when you refuse to beg. They may doubt you when you choose not to borrow. They may mock you when you stop struggling to fit in. But soon those same people will come back and ask, How did you make it? And your answer will be clear. I stayed in position, because position is protection. Position is power. Position is provision. Listen to me carefully. The crown does not chase the king. The king puts himself in the right seat and the crown is placed upon him. The throne does not move to find the ruler. The ruler aligns himself with the throne and authority flows. In the same way, when you find your rightful place, you don't run after blessings. They rest upon you. You don't hunt for recognition. It is attracted to you. You don't force open doors. They swing wide because you are exactly where you were meant to be. Life is not about running faster than everyone else. It is about standing exactly where destiny designed you to stand. Because when you are aligned with that, everything that is yours will find you. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to manipulate for it. You don't have to scheme for it. What is yours knows your name, and in position, it will come to you. So rise today with confidence. Refuse to bow to a life of begging. Refuse to be enslaved by cycles of borrowing. Refuse to spend another day in unnecessary struggle. Instead, declare boldly, Lord, keep me in position. And as you declare it, walk like someone who believes it. Speak like someone who knows it. Live like someone who embodies it. Because the world does not remember those who crawled through life begging. The world remembers those who stood tall, who walked in dignity, who stayed in position until their destiny unfolded before them. So let these words echo in your heart. You were not born to beg. You were born to build. You were not born to borrow. You were born to own. You were not born to struggle. You were born to reign. And the only difference between those who live in defeat and those who live in victory is simple position. Stay in yours, and you will never have to beg, borrow, or struggle another day in your life.